Welcome to the Folkkeeper's Hearth, where timeless tales and ancient lore come alive. Gather round as we explore the myths, legends, and fables that have been passed down through the generations, keeping us connected to our ancestors and the old ways. Do you have your cup of tea? Have you pulled up a chair? It is time. Let us begin. Today we step softly into a new path beneath the boughs. Our first journey into Flora in Folklore, a series that explores the magical roots of the plants that have grown beside our people for generations. We begin with a plant older than the trees, a creature of mist and shadow, the fern. With no flowers to offer the bees and no seeds to scatter, the fern might seem a quiet thing, yet it is wrapped in stories of invisibility, immortality, and otherworldly treasure. Come with me now, into the shaded green, where the secrets of the fern unfold. Ferns are ancient, among the oldest plants on Earth, with fossil records stretching back over 360 million years, long before the first flowers ever bloomed. They are vascular plants, meaning they have veins to carry water like trees do, but they reproduce not through seeds, but spores, tiny dust-like motes found on the undersides of their fronds. Their preferred haunts, cool, damp forests, glens, and riverbanks, are often liminal spaces, where the veil between this world and the next is thin. Perhaps it is this ancient strangeness, their almost prehistoric hush, that caused people to whisper stories about them through the centuries. Because despite having no blossom, the fern, folklore tells us, can bloom. In Slavic mythology, one of the most enduring fern stories is that of the mythical fern flower, said to bloom only on a single enchanted night, Kupala night, the Slavic midsummer festival. To glimpse this invisible blossom, tiny, radiant, and sometimes described as glowing like fire, is to gain great power, the ability to find buried treasure, understand the speech of animals, or even become invisible at will. The search for the fern flower became a folkloric rite of passage, a test of bravery and destiny. But those who sought it were often tricked by spirits or led astray, for it was said the flower was guarded by forest demons, and any spoken word would break the spell. And yet, ferns do not flower, never have, never will. It is this contradiction that gives the legend its power, the quest for the unseen, the desire to touch something sacred and unreachable. In Western Europe, particularly in parts of Germany, Scandinavia, and the British Isles, a related tale tells of fern seeds, tiny and invisible, gathered only in silence and with elaborate rituals. A person who possessed such a seed might be granted invisibility, protection from evil, or the ability to walk unseen between worlds. In some stories, these seeds could only be caught at midnight on Midsummer's Eve, placed on a pewter plate, or gathered while walking backward under very specific signs. In a few old English tales, fern seeds are given by fairies or stolen from them, reinforcing the idea that the fern is tied to the unseen, the hidden, and the world of spirits. In Celtic regions, especially Scotland, Ireland, and Wales, ferns are commonly found in fairy-haunted places, shaded glens, wild moor edges, and old forest paths, places where the worlds meet. Ferns were believed to mark these liminal spaces, growing where the good folk walked. Some said they were a fairy plant, beloved by the wee folk and dangerous to disturb. Others believed they offered protection from malevolent spirits and witchcraft. Like rowan or hawthorn, ferns may have been placed near doorways or tucked into roof thatch for protection, though more commonly they simply grew where magic already lived. The Victorians, with their hunger for the mystical and natural, fell headlong into fern fever or pterodomania. Ferns adorned parlors, china, postcards, and even mourning jewelry. They came to symbolize sincerity, fascination with the unknown, and eternal life. Victorians also viewed ferns as emblematic of modesty and secret beauty, perfect symbols for a culture obsessed with hidden meanings and the language of flowers. Ferns found a place in poetry, painting, and even spiritualism, offering a quiet beauty, rich with symbolism for those drawn to the wildness of nature and the mystery of death. Ferns have unfurled their fronds across literature too, sometimes as quiet background, and sometimes as the very heart of a book. In Dylan Thomas's Fern Hill, they become part of a childhood dreamscape, lush and golden with memory. Thomas's green and golden lines paint a fern-wrapped countryside, steeped in innocence and the soft tragedy of time's passage. Fanny Fern, a 19th century writer, wove her chosen name into Little Ferns for Fanny's Little Friends, offering stories of moral charm and quiet strength, written for children and the gentle-hearted. In the late 19th century, several popular works celebrated the fern not only as a plant of beauty, but as a subject of deep personal devotion. Mrs. Lancaster's British Ferns offered both botanical knowledge and graceful prose, written to introduce ferns to the Victorian home. Francis George Heath's The Fern World elevated fern study to near poetic reflection, treating the forest fern as a gateway into a more reverent view of nature. And M.C. Cook's A Fern Book provided both science and storytelling, opening the plant world to curious readers with a sense of wonder. And in George Henry Tilton's The Fern Lover's Companion, the fern becomes a lifelong fascination, a delicate emblem of patience, endurance, and quiet enchantment. Even in modern works, such as The Fern Tattoo by David Brooks, the fern continues to symbolize buried memory, generational mystery, and the search for hidden truths. Whether wrapped around poetry or pressed between the pages of old books, the fern endures as both subject and symbol. So what is the fern, really? A plant that hides its children beneath its leaves, a dweller in the quiet places, a companion to spirits and fairies, a riddle of a bloom that never opens, yet still draws seekers into the woods each midsummer night. The fern is a keeper of secrets, and in its silence it reminds us that not all wisdom shouts, some only whispers, through the rustle of leaves in shaded glens. Thank you for joining me here at the Hearth. In our next Flora and Folklore, we'll meet another plant steeped in magic and meaning. Until then, walk softly, and may the green paths reveal their stories to you.